After reviewing Joomla's different elements, let's now take a look at WordPress. We'll look at all of the elements of WordPress's content structure, extension types, access, and permissions. I'll show you where you can find all of these elements in the application in an on-screen demo. I hope that this video and other videos in the series will help you in making your choice between starting your project with either Joomla or WordPress. So let's jump in. To kick us off, we're going to break WordPress's elements down into 3 different categories, the same ones we did for Joomla, and we're going to do that because it's going to make it easier for us to compare Joomla and WordPress. So the first one is content structure. That's how the CMS organizes and displays information for navigation and usability. Next are extension types. Those are the add-ons that bring in added functionality, design, and features to the CMS. And then you have access and permissions. That's where you're going to be managing the users, their roles, and how they can view and edit content. So let's first go over the WordPress content structure. And the first one here, of course, is the post, because WordPress was created primarily as a blogging platform. And so, of course, the post is the main content item of a WordPress site. Now, I'll get more into this when I do the demo of WordPress, but what makes WordPress really great is the built-in drag and drop Gutenberg page builder. And you can't really separate the post from the page builder because they're really the same thing. Joomla's article content can live outside of any template or theme as a separate content type. Here in WordPress, it kind of merges or grays the lines between what's coming from the page builder and what's actually the post. The next content type is the page, and there isn't any real difference between posts and pages, as in they're built exactly the same way with the builder. Like starting out, you may not realize if you're building a page for your site or a post because they look exactly the same. The real difference is that pages act like permanent site pages that can be navigated between, where posts are repeatable, dynamic content like blog posts that populate the content of a blog template. Now it says here that pages are static, but they can display dynamic content if you have a block that's dedicated to doing that, like showing the latest blog article. Now WordPress has its own built-in media manager. This is images, files, videos, or whatever. The media can be embedded into pages or attached to pages. Posts can be organized into categories with a parent-child structure. This is mostly for organization and does allow users to navigate through these categories. You can also create category templates dedicated to a particular category, which means that they can have their own menu item and it can feel like a static page on your site. Now this is different from Joomla in that Joomla categories are actually a content type, meaning that it has its own default and custom fields and is a publishable item. So by default, Joomla categories are going to have different intro text, banner images, and any other fields that are attached to the category. And this data is attached to that category record inside of the database. If you wanted to reproduce the same content of every category having a different intro text and banner image, then you would need to build that into the theme template, and all that data is stored in the template and not within the category itself. Next are tags. Here we have a more flexible organization structure used to search, label, and filter posts. WordPress menus are a collection of pages, posts, categories, or URLs. These menus are created in the admin area and displayed according to the theme's template. And lastly are blocks. These are module units to display all sorts of things like text, heading, lists, tables, files, videos, image galleries, and more. Blocks are created and arranged within the block editor. These blocks are the elements that make up pages and posts. Okay, let's now move on to the WordPress extension types. And we have 2 primary extension types. The first one are plugins that add in extra features that will extend or modify the native WordPress functionality. The WordPress ecosystem is massive, and that's really where WordPress draws its strength. WordPress on its own is a rather simple platform, but when you start adding in plugins, you can get something rather complex and sophisticated pretty quickly. The next extension type are themes. Themes control the appearance and layout of the site. A theme can use the Gutenberg block editor, which is the default for WordPress, or it can be designed to work with different page builder frameworks like Elementor, Divi, or UTheme Pro. That's going to give you a lot more advanced level controls. For access and permissions, we have users, which are records that are created when people register for the site that contain their username, password, and other information. Users are assigned to a user role that will give them the ability to comment, create, edit, or delete posts, or manage the admin back end of the site. Now, WordPress can't natively restrict content based on a user role, like a particular blog category that's only for subscribers, but it can do this with additional plugins. WordPress's access and permission features differ from Joomla, as Joomla has native ability to add custom fields to user profiles, assign people to user groups, which are much like WordPress's user roles, but Joomla has the additional access level permissions on just about any type of content, if that be a menu item, article, module, component, or more. Now let's talk about the advantages that WordPress has over Joomla. The first one is ease of use and accessibility. WordPress is a very lightweight app. The Gutenberg block editor is really easy to use. The more shallow structure makes it easy to understand and to learn. However, when you start adding more and more complexity to your site through plugins, that easy label starts to rub off a little bit. Looks like we're going to get Devi's point of view here, and she says easy doesn't necessarily mean better. And that's right. Easy might be a pull for some people initially, but as you get more experience, the ease of use might be more of a drawback than an advantage. Next is the massive plugin and theme ecosystem. WordPress has 55 to 60,000 plugins that can be used to extend and customize your WordPress site. And yes, that's a great advantage over Joomla's much smaller extensions offering. However, Devi says that there's only about 1,000 that are actually getting maintained and are useful. So that may not be as large of an advantage as people think, especially when they're pulling out that big 60,000 plugin number. Next is the community support and resources. With a much larger community, you're definitely going to have a lot more free and paid training programs, tutorials, and forums. That's very much in contrast to Joomla's user base. Devi does acknowledge the smaller user base, but that user base for Joomla is dedicated. Not to mention the well-made and thorough training resources like this one that openappguide.com is bringing you that tends to make the community gap just a little bit smaller. Next is more regular updates to the WordPress application, which is great because you need to keep up with the latest web standards for performance and security, but also the demands for new features. The WordPress development cycle is nearly double that of Joomla, which is pretty fast. Devi wants to add in here that despite this fast development, Joomla still has double the features of WordPress. As a matter of fact, you'd have to install about 12 plugins to get the same functionality as the base Joomla app. Wading through 60,000 plugins to find the 12 plugins you need to match Joomla's functionality can give you some major decision fatigue. But that's why you should follow the plugin recommendation from Open App Guide's Project Blueprints. Blueprints list all the plugins that you would need to accomplish many projects, such as product catalogs to membership sites. Now that we've covered all the large WordPress concepts, I want to show you all the elements that we've reviewed in the actual application. So let's do that now. All right, so you can see we have a brand new installation of WordPress here that I'm going to be using for our demo. And on here on our list, we have the 3 different categories that we've put all of WordPress elements into. That of content structure, that's going to be post, pages, media category, tag, menu, and blocks. Then we have extension types, plugins, and themes. And then we have access and permissions, user and user roles. So we are going to do this just a little bit differently. We're going to hit these 2 categories first, and then the last one is going to be the content structure. The WordPress admin backend is quite straightforward and simple. You're going to have all of your menu items here on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side, this is where you're going to be making all of your changes and adjusting your settings. The first one that we have here is the plugins, and that can be accessed through the plugins menu right here. This is going to list all of your installed plugins. They can either be activated or deactivated from this interface right here. If you want to add more plugins, WordPress has made this very easy for you to do by going up here to the Add Plugins menu, and you can search through the thousands and thousands of plugins that are available there. You can find them by feature, popular, recommended, or favorites. If you've gone to one of the plugin developer sites and downloaded the actual plugin, then you can go over here and click upload and drag and drop the file in here now. So you can install directly from the plugin listing, or you can download separately and upload there. So I've downloaded a plugin called Akiba Backup that I'm going to install so I can show you the process. This is a really great plugin that actually works for both Joomla and WordPress that will make complete backups of your site. So I'm just going to drag the zip file right here into this window and click install. It's going to go through the installation process of uploading the file and installing it. Then it's going to ask me to go through and activate the plugin. Now, if I refresh the page, then you're going to see the Akiba Backup plugin menu right here. And if I click on that, then you're going to see the Akiba Backup interface right here. All right, so now that you get a good sense of how to install plugins and where to find that within WordPress, I'm going to go ahead and check that off. Let's go ahead now and take a look at themes. Themes can be found under Appearance, and once you're here, you're going to see listed all of the themes that are currently installed within WordPress. Because this is a brand new install, I have the 3 default themes that are listed here. If I want to add additional themes, just like plugins, it's going to list all of the themes that I can install directly from the directory, or I can go up here if I've downloaded a premium theme, let's say, that I needed to pay for, downloaded it, then I can drop it right here and install it from there. So I've gone ahead and downloaded the Astra theme right here, but instead of clicking install here, I'm just going to drag it right into this window, and I'm going to click install. With that successfully installed, I'm going to go over here and activate. And once that's activated, you're going to see a new menu item on the left-hand side here, which is going to give us access to a bunch of different options specific to this theme. I can go over here to customize, which is going to give me access to being able to adjust different types of things like the typography or the colors, the different container widths and heights of different things. And so you have a lot of different options of modifying all aspects of this theme right here. Now, this is just one theme and how they handle the customization of their theme. You're going to have variations on this, but usually you're going to have something pop up here on the left-hand side, and it's going to have its own menu structure where you can make adjustments to the theme. The other place that you're going to see where you can make modifications to the theme are going to be under the Appearance, where new menu items are going to appear based on the theme that you have activated. This particular theme allows you to preload a starter template. So I'm just going to go over here and get a starter template. Okay, so with that created, it's going to create a bunch of pages for me, a new menu system, and a new layout, which is a great way to start a website really quickly. this particular theme, then I can go over here to any of these pages here and jump into the page builder. Now, because we've crossed the line from theme into page builder posts and pages, I'm going to mark off our theme right here, and then we'll just visit this right down here really quick, because right now we're modifying a page. So this is the Gutenberg block editor, and you can see here that each of these elements are individual blocks that have their own ability to be formatted and designed and moved around on this page. If I want to add new elements to this page, then I go up here to the plus icon, and it gives me a massive list of different blocks that I can add to my page. I can access patterns, which are predefined arrangements of blocks that will often come in with the theme that I can use to populate my pages. You can also have access to your media and be able to drop in any of the items that you have in your media library. Now, anytime I select one of these blocks, it's going to give me the ability to make changes to that block right here, and it's also going to bring up a bunch of different options on the right-hand side. If I want to start sorting through the different elements on my page, then I can go over here to the list view, and it's going to give me all of these different blocks listed here, and I can go through and I can actually sort these and arrange them in different ways within the list view, which makes that really easy. This theme and many other themes work seamlessly with the native Gutenberg block editor. However, you can install an additional framework that you can put on top of WordPress that is going to replace this block editor and give you more advanced options. This theme that I chose has the option to also be used with a different framework called Elementor. So I'm going to install that, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this and go down into my plugins, and I'm going to add this as a plugin. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and activate that plugin. Now, instead of going into a page, I'm going to go into a post here. And let's click on one of these. And now this is going to give me the option of being able to edit within the Gutenberg block editor, or I can go up here and click on Edit with Elementor. This is a completely different block editor and has taken over from the Gutenberg block editor with its own layout and options. So you can see here that I have a new selection of widgets that I can choose from that are going to be unique to this particular framework. I also have the ability to make changes to the design, theme, and settings of this page. And if I exit this editor and go back to my post, then you're going to see that this page that we just edited is marked with the Elementor tag right here that says that this needs to be edited in Elementor. So if I go here and click edit, then it's just going to replace this layout with this Elementor button that if I press that, it's going to take me to the Elementor editor. Now that we've reviewed the Gutenberg block editor and we've reviewed one of the many frameworks that can be installed on top of WordPress and replace the Gutenberg block editor, I'm going to go ahead and mark off our posts and also our pages because you use those editors to manage those both pages and posts. Now, before we move on to content and structure, I just want to quickly go over the access and permissions, and you can find all of that within the user menu down here. And if I wanted to create a new user, then I can put in their credentials here, and then I can specify the different types of roles that are listed here. You can see that I have the default roles right here, and then as I install additional plugins, it may create new user roles that are specific to that plugin, like you see here with the Cuba backup. Out of the box, the access and permissions for WordPress are quite simple. So I'm going to go ahead and mark off our user and user role. So let's go ahead and take a look at media. That can be found right here in the side menu under the media library. The media library is a repository for all of the content that you upload directly through this interface or that you've uploaded within the Gutenberg block editor. You can see that we have a way of filtering through all our different attachments and taking a look at each individual image with its different properties and URL. I'm going to go ahead and mark off media on our list. And because we went over the block editors, I'm going to go ahead and mark that one off as well. So that leaves us category, tags, and menus. So let's quickly hit category and tags. These are the primary method for organizing posts. And so you can find that here in the post menu. If I click on categories right here, it's going to list all the different categories. These are all the categories that came in when I installed the default material for WordPress and everything that's come in when I preloaded that sample theme into the website. I can also access tags right here, and this is going to give me an access for all the tags and tell me how many of these tags have been assigned there. Both of those pretty straightforward as a way of categorization. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark off categories and tags. Now the last one that we need to go over are menus, and that can be accessed under Appearance and Menus. Here is a dedicated place where you can manage your menus. On the right-hand side, you can adjust the menu structure that you have for your site by clicking and expanding any of these. You can specify them to be a child or a parent or the menu order, or you can just drag and drop these around. You can make new menu items from pages and posts and custom links, categories, different things that you can do here on the left-hand side. You can also design and edit the menus within the theme. So I'm going to go over here to Customize for our theme and click Menus under here. And that's going to give me the ability to adjust a lot of the same settings here and move these around and also make changes to the placement of where these different menus live. Now I'm going to go ahead and deactivate this theme and use the default theme and show you where the menus live there. So if I exit out of this and I go into the themes, and let's say we activate the 2025 theme for WordPress, the default theme. And now if I go into editor, then you're going to see right here on the left-hand side, there is the navigation options. And I can see here, I've got my home page, about, services, where I can move these around, make them sub menus to the existing menus, and you can see them reflected here on the right hand side. All right, so that concludes our whole list. And so I'm just going to go ahead and mark off our menus. You can see that we've gone over the different extension types, plugins and themes, user and user roles under access and permissions. And we talked about posts and pages and the Gutenberg and Elementor block editor and how that manages those, the media and categories, tags, menus, and blocks. So we've hit everything on our list. Now this was just a really quick overview of WordPress seen through the lens of our comparison categorization we created for comparing WordPress and Joomla. I hope that helps in understanding both platforms more easily and helps in your decision for which platform that you're going to use for your project. If that is to start a side hustle, a passion project, or expand your current business. Both of these platforms are really powerful. So in either case, have a lot of fun seeing how far you can push them.